to fit and pain-free the Bonnie Pruden way. I'm Enid Whitaker, and I'm joined by Sandy Dirks. Our program each month will center around fitness pioneer Bonnie Pruden and her accomplishments, her method of exercise, and pain erasure the Bonnie Pruden way, or Bonnie Pruden myotherapy, which is a way to get rid of muscle-related pain. Join us as we begin each meeting with a few tension-relieving exercises.
Welcome to Fit and Pain-Free the Bonnie Pruden Way. This month, Enid and I will be discussing Bonnie's Stockbridge home, Langrock. Enid, she moved at some point from Westchester County, is that right, in New York, to the Bronx. So what happened?
Yeah, she also had an office on Madison Avenue.
Okay.
I have the address somewhere, but I don't remember what it was.
Okay.
Yeah, she did have, she had been looking around for a place, and the 25 acres came and she bought it. She said it was the best deal she ever, for $5,000. So it was the best deal she ever made. And the reason she called it Langrock is German for long rock. And the whole house was built around rocks. And over the property, you could see long rocks that came up through the ground. So that's where it got its name. But the architect was Martin Lowenfish, and he was a very well-known architect. He was born in Poland in 1902, and he and his family left Poland after World War I and were in Palestine for a while before he came to the States, where he graduated from Columbia Architectural School of Design and an American Bow, I think it was called, design. And he set up his own company in 1946. And it was in Westchester, which is where Bonnie lived when she was growing up and married. So she must have been aware of him. And probably that's how she came to find him as her architect. But I'm sure that she had some say in the house because it was amazing. It was 10,000 square feet. It was built on 7 levels. She knew she wanted a Japanese bath. She wanted a gym. She wanted a pool. She wanted a Japanese bath. She wanted a walk-in shower. She wanted all of those things. And the result was absolutely amazing. I can remember the first time I walked through that front door because from the outside, it doesn't look like much. In fact, she used to say it reminded her of a Japanese Esso station. But when you walked through the front door, the hallway was all flagstone. There was a garden there. And then you walked down a few steps and there was this huge living room, 35 by 35, with windows from floor to ceiling that looked out on the Berkshire Hills. So it was like an oasis in many ways, because whoever came always felt welcome. Even though it was huge, it was a welcoming place. And it was also, poor Bonnie, I don't think she ever really had a home. She had a working place because there was never any time where there wasn't something going on there. So starting at the lower level was the pool, and then you walked, and every summer the kids would paint the pool, and they would have a different theme every year. Sometimes it was Snoopy, sometimes it was some games with checkers on the bottom of the pool. So we have, actually, it was even in life, Pool Life, I think it was called Pool Life, came up and photographed the kids in the pool working. And then the next level was the ground level, and the room was actually built around a rock. So there was a rock. We called it the rock room. It was always cool, even in summer, because the rock was there. And I'd say the rock took about a third of the room up, wouldn't you, Sandy?
Oh, easily. Yeah, easily.
And that's where Bonnie's main library was, and it's where she wrote also. And then a couple of stairs up, there was a full bathroom and an office out to the side that could be a bedroom. And there was a little kitchen in the hallway that you could pull the screen down and you wouldn't know it was there. And then if you walked up the other side there were steps up the other side, that was where the sauna was. And it was a real sauna. It wasn't, you had to put the bricks in there or the wood or whatever. And then on the other side, you walked up a couple more steps and there was the gym. It was executive sized gym with mirrors and windows that looked out onto the Berkshire Hills again. And that's where a lot of the work was done for Bonnie's books. If you have any of the books, you'll see that that's where a lot of the photographs were taken in that gym. And also some of the videos. And then you walked up 14 stairs and out into a mudroom and a 3-car garage. And up in the loft was where the mail room was for all the storage and books and so forth. And then back through the mudroom, you went into the kitchen. A couple more steps up, you were in the hall again. And at the end of the hall was an office with a partner desk, a beautiful little room. And then the bedroom wing, you went up a couple of stairs, and then Bonnie's master bedroom was there with her master bath, her Japanese bath, her walk-in shower. And then if you walked out through the door, there was a place where you could sun and nobody could see you. And then there was a bedroom wing with 3 more bedrooms and another bath. So that was her home. And as I said, there was something always going on. That's where we prepared for workshops. That's where she had meetings with like People's Magazine. It's where all the photographs are taken for the books. When workshops came around, that's where we prepared for the workshops. You'd see all the equipment hanging around. Like when we had the paddles, there were streamers everywhere, paddles everywhere. And it's also when we had to do a big mailing, we'd have a party. Everybody, we're having a mailing, and we'd send word to all the friends. And it was another time for people to get together that hadn't seen each other for a while. And because their living room was so huge, everybody would be in the living room taking part in the mailing. And then at the end of the day, you could find people sleeping everywhere, under the piano, on the couch, down in the gym, in 3 bedrooms. But there was never any discord at all. It was amazing. And people would bring potlucks, or they'd bring their favorite dessert or whatever. So it was always another place for a community or a family. that got work done, but got it done with fun. That's Bonnie's whole thing was creating fun. I don't know what you remember about.
Well, there was art everywhere. So there was built-in art everywhere. The from the totem pole. I don't remember who did that. Was it a doctor that did the chainsaw?
It was called the stritch. We called it the stritch.
Okay.
And he was a doctor, and the stritch was, yeah, like a totem pole, but it was done with a chainsaw.
Okay. Okay.
And that came out to here to Tucson with us, but when there was a mud flood, I sold it with a lot of other things that I could no longer keep.
Yeah. And then can you explain what a Japanese bath is?
Yeah, the Japanese bath was a tile. It was, I think, 5 feet deep.
I think so, yeah.
And maybe 6 feet or 7 feet long and maybe 4 feet wide. And it was filled with warm water. So that's really where Bonnie rehabbed herself and prepared herself for her hip operations. She would be in there working her little butt off, getting her body in preparation for the surgery, and then afterwards working to get well again.
Yes.
It also served when we started doing myotherapy and we'd have patients, she would have them get in there after their, and also if you look at the baby swim book or the baby birth to six book, the part about the baby swim, that's taken in the Japanese bath. So it was used for a lot of different reasons. Sometimes if just friends were there for the weekend, we'd be in there with martinis and carrots.
I love it. I love it. And that's where the little bird tile was?
Yeah. I have it, but I don't have it right here.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I'm just thinking about the different art. And then over the fireplace, there was something, a Roman something.
That didn't get.
No, it was built in. It was built into the fireplace. And then the birds, the hen and chickens, were built in again in the dining room. So no matter where you looked, there was artwork. There were interesting things to look at. The piece behind you was in the hallway.
Right.
Yeah. Yes. And then
she didn't have money, but she had to have the acrobats, and they cost $500.
Oh my gosh. Oh, okay. Okay. And the garage itself, it housed cars, but she also had exercise. She had turned that into an exercise place too, correct?
Yep, that's in the family fitness book and in the 6 to 12 book. How to turn your garage or a place where there's a floor or even in your backyard. She said there was no excuse for not being able to do exercise. So yeah, on the floor she put hopscotches and created using not masking tape, but different colored tapes, or even painted on different diagrams that could be used for exercise.
Mm-hmm. Well, and Bonnie also, from what I understand, there's a great picture of her. I think did she help physically herself build the house? She did some of the work.
It took a long time to build, partly because she wasn't there all the time.
Right.
And so I don't know how much she did.
I know, but there's various pictures, and there's also, I think one year somebody was Kathy, Face Friend, was doing something on the roof. And before that, I remember Lori talking about she and Bonnie being on the roof. and fixing something. So, and it just made me think about not just the house, but Bonnie liked to mow the lawn herself. You know, she did walking paths on the property. She had a huge garden. So it wasn't just she took care of that. And I remember her painting her tractor, herself because the paint had worn off or something
Don't
happened.
get near her because she was like a bat out of hell on that thing.
She was very conscientious about upkeep.
Way because she was on a slope. We didn't want to see her tip over, but she never did.
No,
And she created a path around the entire property. It was a walking track, and that's where, as you know, you took the dogs for their walk.
I did.
Three
Yes, I did.
their walk. Somebody.
Yep.
And yes, there was a huge garden, and people, we had so much that we were always giving it away, and we froze a lot. It was just a wonderful thing to be able to go out and get your dinner or your lunch and come back and cook it.
Yes. Yes.
And
And she had some lovely neighbors too.
yeah, and yeah, Bonnie loved to build stuff. She was good at so much that it's incredible. And she would set up scaffolding, and she and Lori painted the house
Yep.
and discussed a book at the same time.
Yeah. Yes. That is one thing. She was always teaching. No matter what she was doing, if she was with you, she was always teaching.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the house, it was a beautiful property. Very well designed, very welcoming, very gorgeous. And actually, the first 13-week school was held there. And you used to have myotherapy patients there. And actually, I remember you making weight bags one summer. So there was a lot of work to be done, but it was also fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a working house.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
A lot of people through there that were famous.
Okay. Okay. Yep. Yep. I think early on she had dinner parties there.
Say that again.
I think early on she had dinner parties there. Before us.
Yeah. And Margaret Burke White was there.
Yep.
He was a very famous photographer, and she had Parkinson's.
Okay.
And she came to Bonnie to see how Bonnie could help her. And the first thing Bonnie did was put a uniform on her. Because she said, if you're going to exercise, you need this uniform. So Margaret learned a lot from Bonnie, and Bonnie learned a lot from her. And she repaid Bonnie with 4 absolutely beautiful photographs that she'd done, which came out here to Tucson, but the house that on Havasu really couldn't accommodate those, so they were sold. But they were such beautiful. They had a beautiful place in that home in Stockbridge.
Yes. And so in another vlog, we'll be talking about what happened to a lot of Bonnie's artifacts, as well as the archives is actually the word that I meant to use. So in another vlog, don't worry, if you've heard about the floods and everything else, everything was not lost. And so we will be very excited to talk sometime about where everything is being stored. Yes. So now when you guys, I think it was in 1992 that the move actually happened from Stockbridge, Massachusetts to Tucson, Arizona. And what happened to the house? The house is still standing, I'm assuming.
The house was bought by a doctor and his wife,
Mhm.
and they're very interested in art, but it's a different kind of art. And so the house has been changed a lot.
Mhm.
As I understand it, they use the gym for their meetings because really they're art collectors.
Right.
Um, and so it's being used for something different, but they love it and they take care of it.
Yes. And they're very kind people. When I was back in the Berkshires at one point, I just showed up on their door one day, knocked on the door, and just said, introduced myself. And he said, "Oh, do you want to see what it looks like now?" And he took me through, the house, and showed me and the artwork. And it is, they've done a lovely job. So the house is in good hands.
Yes.
But Ed and I both lived in the house, and I have many fond memories of being there. It was a wonderful time in my life.
Well, when my family, when Dawn and Rusty and Mandy the dog finally
Yeah.
moved to, we Dawn and I had the downstairs. We had the bathroom downstairs, and we didn't use the kitchen, but then we had the bedroom across the way, and Rusty had his bedroom upstairs in the wing. So that's how we managed that. And the reason the reason we're here in Tucson was because of another person who was in our lives, who was Dr. Jesse Stoff, and that's another whole story. But he was at Bonnie's home one day, and he and his wife said they were moving to Tucson. And Bonnie said, I am too.
That was a
And
surprise to you.
but she had when she was 18, she was given a scholarship to a working ranch out in Holbrook, Arizona. And that summer, she said, was the most wonderful summer of her life. She rode, she met Arlo and fell in love. He was a cowboy. She learned to castrate the cows. Um, she she met the Mormons. She just had a wonderful summer out there, and she always wanted to come back to Arizona. I guess this was her chance. But like I said,
And you've been very happy since.
that's another story.
That's another story. That's another story. But the time in Stockbridge was wonderful. She built a great house and had a wonderful business there and many good relationships, and did the same once you guys moved to Tucson. So it's a great legacy.
Yes.
Okay. Anything
I still
else?
keep in touch with the people that are there now.
Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that.
And actually, we did 4 interviews on the lawn there, which
Mhm.
aren't available to everybody, but they soon will be.
Awesome. Okay. Okay. Well, I think anything else, Enid?
That's it.
Okay. We'll see y'all next month. Thank you.
And as Bonnie says, keep fit, be happy.